All right, we're going to call this meeting of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to order today. Thank you to everyone for being here. We do have Supervisor Chukri on the phone today. He's out of town attending to some business, but has joined us. Thank you very much, Supervisor Chukri, for being on the phone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And at this time, can I turn it over to you, Supervisor Chukri? I think you wanted to introduce our individual who's going to be doing the prayer and the pledge for us today.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to call in. I think I'll be able to make most of the meeting, if not all, before I've got to catch a flight. But I wanted to thank you for that and also express my gratitude to Supervisor Sellers, who allowed me to make the invitation this morning to Marcy Molstein with First Place. And as many of you know, our county IDA has been working with other governments, the Department of Housing, with Phoenix IDA, to create, I think, a very special concept in place right in Phoenix. And it's called First Place, and the idea is to house and have independent living for young adults with autism. And Maricopa County, in its way, and it's how it's so capable of doing in leading, County Manager Joy Rich and our HR department and Jan Plank were able to work with First Place to try and see how we can not only support housing and self-sufficient living, but also how to employ folks. And so we are endeavoring this very month to employ these individuals with varying disabilities and others who can have that peace of mind in knowing that they can get up every day and go and work in a job. And face whatever challenges might be along the way. So I'm excited by this. I want to thank Joy and Jan for being so open-minded about bringing in these talented young individuals. And Marcy, special thanks to you for being there this morning to offer up our prayer and pledge.
Dear Lord, we come before you today to thank you for the new employment initiative for those individuals on the autism spectrum and with other neurodiversity. We ask for your loving support and guidance for the Maricopa County staff as they open their hearts to employ individuals who are willing and wanting to work. Please guide eager candidates to these positions that are ready for hire. And most of all, bless those who make the choice to come together with wisdom to understand what is possible and the vision of the enormous opportunity to make an impact on so many lives. In your name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Marcy, for your words and for joining us. And thank you again, Supervisor Chukri, for inviting her to join us today. At this time, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Supervisor Sellers.
Here.
And Supervisor Chukri.
Here.
Thank you. Supervisor Hickman.
Here.
Supervisor Gallardo.
Here.
And Chairman Gates.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're very excited today to have, as we always do at our formal meetings, Jose Santiago joining us from Animal Care and Control with another friend. Good morning.
Good morning. This little guy right here is Jimmy, and he is a senior fellow, as he expands the room. He is sometimes a little bit more difficult dogs at his age to adopt out. This guy is about 8 years old, and a lot of folks feel like that might be too old of a dog for them to take into their home and to love. But these little guys are usually house trained. They usually have a more even-keeled temperament, and so for a lot of folks, they would be the perfect companion, and they can give them an opportunity to live their golden years in a happier place in the shelter environment. I also want to take an opportunity to say that we're very grateful to the Bissell Pet Foundation. They are stepping forward again this weekend, and they are going to help us empty out some space at the shelter. So we're doing an Empty the Shelters event on Saturday. We're doing this in conjunction with several other Valley shelters, but we're hopeful that it'll clear up some of the much needed space that we need right now. And again, this is Jimmy, and he's available today for adoption.
Well, thank you very much. Jimmy's got a little scarf on there. Do you want to speak to that?
Yes.
Looks like it's timely.
It is timely. It's a little Halloween scarf that says Adopt Me on it, and we are also grateful to the Paradise Valley High School students. Their fashion class is who makes these for us. One of their instructor comes in and volunteers every so often at the shelter, and her students, they test out their pattern making skills, their embroidery skills by making scarves and other items for the shelter dogs. So this is coming from the Paradise Valley High School.
That's great. And for everyone who can't see, it looks like there's a ghost on there and maybe some candy or something. So very cute. All right. Thanks a lot, Jose. Appreciate it. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda today?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I have two things to make note of today. On page 18 of your agenda, item number 10, you will note is crossed out on your agenda. That was at the request of the department, but it was after the agenda was printed, so in order not to mix up the remaining numbers, that's what we do. On page 41 of your agenda, item number 63 is the amendment to lease agreement, and at the request of the department, we're going to continue that to the October 23rd meeting.
That's just on item 61?
63.
63. Gotcha.
Sorry. Those are the only two things that I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Next, we move to the planning and zoning portion of the agenda. We have on the consent agenda, PZ1 is Olive and Dysart LLC, PZ2, West Wing Industrial Park, PZ3, Hospitality RV Resort, and PZ4, Merrill Gardens Anthem Cottages. Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker slips on these items?
None, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any questions at all from the members of the board?
No, Mr. Chairman, I move for approval items PZ1 through PZ4.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. The next item we have also on planning and zoning is a PZ5, the element on Euclid. Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker slips on this item?
Mr. Chairman, we do. We have 6 speaker slips on this particular item, and we have received a number of letters, also approximately 63 letters that happen to be in opposition to this particular item.
All right. Well, if you could pass on those slips down here. This is in Supervisor Gallardo's district, and unless you object, would you like to hear the testimony at this time?
Yeah, if staff wants to.
This is the applicant and in favor.
Perfect.
These two are
As they
Thank you.
always are.
All right. Did you want to have a presentation from them, or do you want to go to the?
However you want to proceed, Chairman.
Yep. Would you like to say a few words about it?
Sure.
Then we can hear testimony from the public.
Sure. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This case is Z2019-052 for the project known as Element on Euclid. It's located again in District 5, and it's a request for a zone change from Rural 43 to R16 RUPD. The site is generally located at the northwest corner of 43rd Avenue and Euclid Avenue in the Levine area on approximately 22 acres. Now, the purpose of the rezone is to accommodate a future subdivision. The RUPD overlay would allow for a variation of some of the standards of the R16 district, including lot sizes and widths and setbacks and such. Staff received numerous letters of opposition. The majority of the opposition centered on the proposed density and the lot sizes, and there was other opposition mentioned. It was too close to their properties, and that the proposed density would be incompatible with the adjacent Rural 43 zone properties to the north and south, although it is comparable to the existing densities in existing residential development immediately to the east and the west of this project. In addition, staff did receive a petition of opposition and the appeal from the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. Now, staff has calculated the support and opposition received and notes that a supermajority vote has been triggered. At their September 12th hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of Z 2019-052 subject to conditions A through G, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you for that presentation. Any questions from the members of the board? All right, if not, then I'd like to invite Ashley Martin to speak on behalf of the item. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Gates. Appreciate the opportunity to speak briefly on this matter. Staff did a great job in their written materials and in their presentations, both this morning to the board and at Planning Commission. So I'll be brief in my remarks, but want to leave you with a couple of notes to consider. As staff mentioned, our project is at 43rd Avenue and Euclid. To the north of us is Baseline, to the south of us is Dobbins. And coming in on the west, I'll try to use this clicker sometimes so you lose my light. But to the west is the 202 alignment coming in about 1.5 miles, 2 miles from our project site. This is an infill development. It's approximately 22 acres. It is a county island surrounded by large lot residential to the north and to the south, and single family subdivisions within the city of Phoenix on the west, the east, and the north sides with compatible zoning and density as mentioned by staff. Again, this is an infill development. This area has seen great growth, great development. Single family residents have moved in. This site, if I were here maybe 20 years ago, would look a little different. But the R16 RUPD request is consistent with activity we've seen in the area and really an infill development. Along those lines, this is the site plan that you saw in your materials, but I wanted to spend a few minutes taking into consideration the great lengths that Meritage Homes, the applicant in this, has taken to really consider that large lot residential to the north and to the south. Primarily, they've gone through and put some large buffers on the north side of that property. That's approximately 80 feet to go ahead and create a little bit of breathing room between the large lot residential to the north and this single family subdivision for this infill site. They've carried those buffers to the east side of the property along 43rd Avenue, creating 50 to 90 feet in buffer, and also on the south end of the property, creating another 45 to 50 feet on the southern end of the property. They did that while realigning Euclid, which is on that southern end of the property, pursuant to McDOT's request. So they've really taken some great lengths to go ahead and meet the market demand for an affordable housing product. These are FHA limit homes. This is for a buyer who's coming in, that starter home, that vet loan, bring an affordable quality housing product with keeping in mind that they do have some large lot residential neighbors to the south and to the north of this property. Along those lines, Meritage has created these buffers and also created a real community feel to this development with the multi-use trails to the north and to the south, a central amenity to include a ramada, a lot tot, someplace to gather, and then interconnectivity with these trails throughout. So Meritage has really done their homework, taken into account those large lot neighbors to the south and to the north, and made the best use of this infill development space by bringing a quality, affordable product to this area. And this is just an example of some of the amenities that central park may include. We did our community outreach and followed the guidelines that the county requires. We sent out our notification letters, including the stakeholders that the county requires. We've posted the property. We've had 3 meetings with community leaders, including at our TAC meeting, which is the Technical Advisory Committee, where you go and you have an opportunity to speak with staff and speak to some of the technical points of your application. Community members were present. Our materials have been routed to the community, and the feedback we got was to staff's point, it was density and lot size. There wasn't an interest in talking about the growth and development in this area, or the need for affordable housing in this area, or some of the great buffers and amenities that Meritage is bringing. The feedback was on a lot size, and that there's a moratorium with a lot size in Levine, which just isn't the case with the growth and development that we've seen. In summary, this is a quality builder with a quality development. Meritage has put their time, money, expertise into a 22-acre infill site. This area has seen significant growth. In the previous slide I've showed you, an affordable housing opportunity is pertinent in this area. There's a market demand for a smaller individual footprint with an HOA maintained open space for people to enjoy the amenities that the community offers. There's enhanced architectural details, there's varied roofs and elevations along with this. So this is really a prime example of how to do an infill development site. With that, I'll leave you and available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Martin. Any questions from the group? Ms. Marsh, my apologies,
Thank you.
sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just, I have met with a couple of folks from the Levine area that came into my office, and we sat down and talked about this project, and they did talk about the density and all, and that sort of stuff. But they also brought up an issue of increased traffic. I believe there's a traffic, I could be wrong, there's a traffic study coming up, or is there one already done?
Chairman Gates, Supervisor Gallardo, a traffic study is required as part of the process before they begin to develop, and that stipulation is included in the zoning case. So they would have to account, if they are increasing the traffic counts, they'd have to make any necessary improvements to the road and to any intersections.
But we have no evidence right now to say that we're going to have major traffic problems there until we see.
No evidence. And most likely there should be some improvements, because right now Euclid is, the intersection is a little offset, and I believe they will have to have that aligned so it crosses at the same east-west from over 43rd Avenue. So there should be actually some traffic safety improvements with this development.
I was taken back, the meeting I had with a couple of the Levine folks, I was taken a little back because I said, well, it doesn't fit in this area. And then I come to find out a couple of days ago, I did my little tour out there, but I come to find out that Phoenix has similar lot sizes. Can you touch on that?
Sure, Chairman Gates, members of the board, Supervisor Gallardo. The surrounding area, while immediately to the north and the south is the 1 acre lots in the county, most of this area has developed into a very comparable product to what is proposed at Elements. In fact, I believe it's up near like 46th Avenue and Baseline. There is a development called Cheatham Farms, which has almost like an attached housing product, and their density is approximately a little bit over 7 units per acre. This density will be under 5. Directly across 43rd Avenue, they are at a slightly lower density, but their average lot size is about 8,000 square feet across the street. This is about 6,000 square feet. This is going to have 40-foot wide lots. There's some 40 to 45-foot wide lots across the street and to the north. So it's very comparable. I did want to add one thing to what Ashley mentioned about how this is an affordable product. We have seen some questions if this is Section 8 that's been directed to us. This is not Section 8 housing. This is housing that fits within the FHA loan limits. So it's accessible to someone who may be a teacher or a police officer. So that's what, when Ashley is saying is affordable, it's market rate housing, but it's something that's accessible.
And you brought up a good question, because this drives me crazy when I hear this about the Section 8 housing, and I hear it quite often throughout the district. I never can wrap my arms around this. How would someone even know that there is someone under the Section 8 program even in their neighborhood? I mean, it isn't like they put a yard sign or, how would they even know? And when I hear that type of assumption, it just kind of drives me like, how would you even know?
And as the Housing Authority, we work at Planning and Development very closely with the Housing Authority because we do permitting for them throughout the county, even in the cities. So there are many dispersed Section 8 houses that are just in residential neighborhoods that they are just your neighbor. There is no difference between you or them, and no outward difference on that home. So that is something that I've seen countywide.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd love to, if there's no other questions, love to hear from the opposing side too as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Marsh. Just wanted to mention these are other folks who have put in a slip in favor, but either not asking to speak or only speak if necessary. David White, Jordan White, and Brian Dellis. At this time, I'd like to ask David Borge to come speak, and you have been asked you'd like to speak in opposition, is that right? Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, my name is David Borge. I live at 4459 West Ardmore Road in Levine, which is adjacent to this property. I moved there over 20 years ago because of the rural lifestyle that Levine has. This is the heart of Levine. This space directly behind my house has always been planned for at least half-acre lots. This applicant has avoided trying to, the Levine Planning Committee and the Village Planning Committee, for some reason, they claim to have contacted all of us to the north, which they did not. They claim to have had community meetings with us all, which we were never invited to one. We were all kind of shocked at the last minute to find out about this. There's strong opposition by every neighbor in the area. It's just the wrong place for this type of development. The traffic that on 43rd Avenue is unbearable during school hours because there's two charter schools at 43rd and Baseline. The other public schools, there's a Cheatham's Farm, which is nearby, but there's actually no public access from that property to Cheatham Farms without driving 2 miles around the block. The other public school is Levine Elementary, which is across two major roads, 43rd Avenue and Dobbins. So the kids will have to be driven or bused. 43rd Avenue does not go through to the north or south, so it's just a single lane each direction with not a lot of hope of ever getting much wider because it doesn't really go anywhere to the north or south. It ends at the Salt River and ends at the, so we're always gonna have that problem. You can't even get out of my street at certain times of day because everybody is trying to get turned around. The crime in the area is going up. Adjacent to this county island that we are all on is the fire station that the fireman got shot at. Actually, the evening of the planning and zoning meeting last month, and the post office right nearby got broken into recently. There was a money stolen from the porch of a house that sells pies and stuff on Dobbins Road. The crime is, getting out of hand. This development is actually on a county island. They claim that they want to be part of Phoenix. If they really want to be part of Phoenix, why are they going through? Why aren't they going through the Phoenix Planning and Zoning Commission and the Levine Planning Committees that every other developer has? And then there's the question of, will this create a new county island? If they do get annexed into Phoenix, which is illegal in this state to create a new county island. If they're not going to become part of this city, and how are they going to, is the sheriff's office going to be able to police it? We have like a 60-minute, if we ever call the sheriffs on my street or in our area, there was an incident on my street a while back. They had to send the sheriff from 91st Avenue and Camelback, that was the nearest one at the time, for a home break-in with guns involved. So, that, you said you visited the area. You can see that the houses to the north and south are all large acres and the development that actually is to the west, the houses, it's R18 zoning, but the houses that are adjacent to us are over half-acre lots, and that was the work of the Levine Planning Committee to make it more cohesive instead of putting 107 houses in a small area right between the heart of Levine, which just doesn't make sense to me. Hopefully you guys have read some of the letters and stuff from the neighbors. You got their points. So.
Yeah, real quick, talk to me about, because I've heard this before, and I'm assuming it's true, that we're not able to create additional county islands, as you indicated. Is that what we're doing here?
Chairman Gates, members of the board, the property is being rezoned within the county. There is 1 acre lots between this parcel and the city of Phoenix where they have a new development going in. I believe it's called Alara. I believe that's what they're concerned about will become the county island. This can develop and be built and stay in the county. Phoenix, they would enter into a will serve letter and receive water and sewer from the city of Phoenix. So there isn't a reason that they're required to annex. And obviously, if Phoenix did annex, they would need to follow the state law. But this development is intended to remain in the county at this point in time.
Very good. Thank you, Mr.
So the sheriff's office will have to actually serve that property, which.
Yep. Is that accurate?
The sheriff's office will provide service, but also Phoenix, through mutual aid, will provide services in case of emergency.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next, we have Phil Hertel. Mr. Hertel, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this case. My name is Phil Hertel. I've been involved in the planning process in Levine for 20 years. I've been on the Levine Planning Committee, which is a county planning committee. I have never missed a Levine Village Planning Committee meeting from the city in 20 years. So I'm very dedicated to the community. I work hard towards making sure that we develop Levine into something we can all be proud of. As it was stated, there's a petition that was circulated, and every single surrounding occupant to this parcel signed that petition in opposition of this case. Every single one. That's all the farther the petition went. If it would have gone farther, there would have been a lot more signatures, but I thought it was important to make sure that all the neighbors were on board. This project is not consistent with the area. There are a lot of affordable housing opportunities. There are a lot of high-density opportunities all through Levine. They've been carefully planned and carefully located to be along mass transit routes or over near the freeway or in areas where there are services, by the supermarkets, by the schools. There's no mass transit on 43rd Avenue. There's no bus. There's nothing close. There's no stores. There's no opportunities. This was intended to be a rural area. It has been planned that way for as long as we've been talking about it. As far as it creating a county island, if it's annexed into the city, I've had extensive talks with the city. There's a way to do that it would not create a county island, so they can annex in. And I'm told by the City Water and Services Department that the will serve letter to this property, they have a 1-inch water main and a 6-inch sewer main to service this property. If they're going to want more than that, the city is going to require them to annex to get more service. It only makes sense. So ultimately, I think this thing's going to end up annexed into the city, which will then resolve some of the burden that the county is going to assume if this remains county. To the west of this, obviously the north and south are 1 acre parcels. To the west of this, when we planned that community of R18, we put huge lots along the western perimeter of this site. The lots are 70 feet wide. They're 10,000 plus square feet because that was the buffer to buffer up to this, what was conceived to be half-acre lot subdivision. The traffic is a problem. It's a problem now. It's getting worse. To do a traffic study after the case is approved is like closing the barn door after the horse is out, because the traffic is an issue. And 107 more houses is going to make 43rd Avenue a nightmare. It absolutely cannot stand this kind of traffic, and because there's so much county around it, the development of 43rd Avenue is extremely unlikely. The applicant has not come forward to try to have public meetings to talk to the public. They've not tried to meet with any of the planning committees. Yes, we have talked with them in a casual environment, sitting down at a table at Burger King and looking at what they had, and we told them what they had wasn't compatible and wasn't going to work, and they've done absolutely nothing, zero, to try to work towards creating something that would work in this area. The buffer that they have, that they show to the north, the people in that community don't want that buffer, and so the plan doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But that buffer to the north, and I asked the applicants if that was a retention area, and I never got an answer, but that buffer to the north is going to create an alleyway that the people to the north are concerned is going to impact their properties. They would rather have houses back up to their fence, but they've got to be bigger houses. They've got to be bigger lots, something compatible. There are a lot of things that can be done here, and there are a lot of things that could have been worked out. One of the things that cannot happen here is this does not need to be an RUPD, because that gives them a blank check then to go even farther and do things that are even more incompatible with the area. Realistically, this should be coming in at a R118 type of zoning. If it was R110, that's a lot more dense than the surrounding areas. However, that would be workable. We could sit down and work something out and make it work and be compatible with the area. But it would have to be an R110 without the RUPD, because the RUPD allows so much flexibility that, again, we're going to get right back into the area that we're trying to avoid. The demand for these houses and the demand for this kind of a subdivision is there in Levine. I won't argue, but we already have it. We've already got it filled. We've got these things all over Levine. Like I said, they're planned in better areas. This is not the area for this. So to say that this is compatible is like putting together a dozen eggs and you got 11 extra large eggs and you put one medium egg in the package and you go, well, it's compatible, it's an egg. No, it's not. It's different. And it's right in the heart of our rural area. I knew you'd like that.
You've got my marketing program.
But it's right in the heart of a rural part of Levine that we've tried to keep rural. 43rd Avenue, the houses on the east side are set over 100 feet back off the road to try to preserve this one little rural area of Levine. On 43rd Avenue, from Dobbins to South Mountain, is a nice rural feel, farms and pastures. These people are going to be right in the middle of housing that have people with horses and chickens and ducks and all kinds of things. It's just the wrong place for it. I'm sorry, I'm really sick and I'm not feeling well. I shouldn't even have been here today, but I've worked too hard for too many years. I will not abandon my community. I will not abandon my neighbors. I needed to come speak. I urge you to listen to what's being said and consider the opposition. Please do not give this an RUPD. And if you find the need to zone it, R110 is the maximum that could be tolerated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hertel. Any questions for Mr. Hertel?
Just real quickly, you caught me off guard here with the buffer part of it. So regardless, if the project was to be approved, you would not want a buffer there on the north and south?
Can we put that map back up?
Sure. I'm sure someone can.
Somebody can. Their site plan is, whoops, forgot to shut my phone off. I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay, so the concern about the buffer to the north, which is at the top of the illustration that we're looking at, is that creates an open alleyway for people to hang out, live, do whatever they're going to do, and all of the things that happen in these unmonitored areas. If we were planning this site and trying to sit down and work this out, we would put those homes on the north side right against the back fence of the existing residence and put large lots that were similar, not as big, but similar to what's existing. And then we would also restrict those homes to be 1 story. So they wouldn't be 2-story homes looking into the back of the other properties. That would make both sides of it more secure. It would reduce the cost of the property because they don't have all that open space to take care of. Plus, it would allow us to get bigger lots on the same size property. So that open space buffer is going to be problematic. The back walls are going to become tagger easels and, you know, as we all know, and all the other things that could go on there. So I understand the homeowners' concerns for not wanting that.
And just one, I mean, and this is what caught me by surprise the other day, is because the discussion we had, it wasn't compatible, and for the most part correct for the north and south, but east and west, we're seeing similar homes.
No, there's nothing even close to this high density east or west.
The housing across the street is a little bit less dense, but very similar. And then housing along Baseline to the west and the north is far more dense. It's about 7 acres. I mean, 7 houses per acre.
This isn't on Baseline, and the piece that's across 43rd Avenue, I believe is 3.8.
The across the street is, it's just under 4. They do have the same about 40, they have some 40 to 45 width lots. I thought I saw a map in the applicant's presentation that may have gone a little bit wider. I don't know if they have anything to add. I think they had something, maybe I don't know if Ashley has something to add regarding the whole surrounding area, but the homes that are directly to the west are pretty dense. I don't remember the density offhand. There are some larger lots with mostly 2-story homes, so they do have like a slightly larger lot in there. But if you go just north of those are like, I think, almost 7.5 houses per acre.
And the 7.5 is on Baseline Road, which is a major traffic corridor with mass transit opportunities. That's why it went there. Across on 43rd Avenue, all the homes are side-facing, and there are no 40-foot lots. There are some 45s deep inside that development. So there's nothing along 43rd Avenue that's even close to this, and we were very careful in planning that. And again, to the west, although it has I think the density to the piece to the west is right around 4, but we put large lots against this particular parcel and put all the smaller stuff in the middle because we were trying to buffer against it. So a lot of planning and consideration has gone into what this could bring in the future. Although the people in the community all think it should be 1 acre, that'd be dandy, but we know in reality that's not going to work. Half acre would be lovely, but I know, even though I don't want that, I know deep in my heart we've got to kind of work towards developable applications. And so that's why I say if we need to do it R110, we can do it R110. We can make that work. We'd be happy to sit down with them, work out a site plan, and make this all happen. But it's very important that it not be an RUPD.
Chairman Gates and Supervisor Garrett, I wanted to mention that Alara development, that I believe is around, that's to the north of those 1 acre properties. It's about, the approved density is about 3.5, but that included, they allowed them to include the commercial in that. So when you look at the overall density, that's a little bit above 4. So, and that's directly to the north for Alara. I think that's almost 290 homes in that development. They're currently grading.
That's Phoenix, though, right?
Yes, that is in Phoenix.
Oh, sorry.
I hope I'm not giving that to you.
The allergies for me.
Okay.
Thank you. Unless there's other questions.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Hertel? Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your comments. Ms. Marsh, would you like to respond to any of the comments that were made?
Thank you, Chairman Gates and members of the board. There's a lot to unpack with some of the comments we heard, but I wanted to introduce that this 40 wide product is prevalent around the valley. It's coming with growth and development in different areas. There's been several successful communities, Verrado and Buckeye, Marley Park and Surprise, Norterra, Desert Ridge, Sky Crossing in the North Valley, Horizons and Chandler, and Element on Euclid is no exception. Meritage is committed to building a quality infill development, and I think that's important when you look at, we're at a 22-acre site and making the best use of that 22 acres with some development challenges. The introduction of the 202 has really transformed this area. It's made it a growing area. You have, again, the introduction of the 202. Maricopa County Community College has property over here. There's a future development. There's the Levine Park Place where the Sprouts and the Harkins just went in. Going further to the east, you have Levine Village. That's a Fry's, a Home Depot, a great retail center, big box retail there. To the north of that, you have the hospital campus, which has been such an asset to this community and to this part of the valley. With that is going to come additional office space, doctor's offices to support that hospital campus, assisted living. And then going further east to that, you have the CCV Church. That's a 10, 12-acre campus, soccer fields. There's an abundance of schools here. There's charter schools. There is growth and development. And although I can understand and respect that this area was once a rural community, that has since changed. And these great quality projects have brought a lot of economic growth, and these people need places to live. You need somewhere for your nurses to live, somewhere for your teachers to live, and this is a great infill product that allows people to do that. We've had some discussion about similar product and densities, and I'd like to point out 2 properties in specific that Ms. Pekorski was addressing. One's at R2 PRD, which you see just south of Baseline. That is a high dense community. That is part of Cheatham Farms. This is the aerial for it. It's an attached product. It's approximately 11, 12 acres. It's got 88 units. It's upwards of 7, close to 8 DU per acre. So this isn't a novel idea to bring some density in the area. Another such project is Dobbins Place. This one has 3,000 square foot lots. And as you see on the east side of the property, it's Auto Court, and that's next to county properties. Those are large county properties. There's no buffer between these properties to the east on this Auto Court and the large county properties. That's completely different than what we're doing here. We're trying to take account our rural residential neighbors and giving them a little bit of elbow room and breathing room where projects have been processed through the city of Phoenix that haven't done that same thing, bringing high density 4.5 DU products into the area without any buffer to those county residents. Again, we've provided the buffers as a way to honor those rural properties to the north and to the south, make this infill project. This is 22 acres. This isn't a 70-acre project where you've got a lot of flexibility to go and to do large varying lots. This is a 22-acre site. I've been at the table with a number of builders. This is the best product layout I've seen that matches the area, that takes into account those properties to the north, those neighbors to the south, works with McDOT to realign to realign Euclid coming off 43rd, and really provides a transitional piece for a 22-acre parcel at affordable price point with a quality builder, where the people who are coming into this area, who are working in the hospitals, who are professors at the community college, can afford FHA limits. As Ms. Pekorski mentioned, FHA does not mean Section 8. Again, I've read no less than 3 articles in the last month on how Phoenix needs an affordable housing product, and that extends to Levine. Levine is no exception. Wanted to address some of the opposition's points. This is actually the county mailer that goes out. It shows that our notification was mailed to the Levine Planning Committee. They showed up at our TAC. They've been at the table. We've talked to them. This is the City of Phoenix will serve. There was some discussion on whether or not we're going to annex. We're in discussions with the City of Phoenix. It's Meritage Homes at the table. It isn't a speculative builder. We're not doing something for a hope and a prayer of future development. This is a sophisticated builder doing their homework. We'll talk to the City of Phoenix, have sat down with their water departments, we'll negotiate a service agreement, and we're stipulated to do so. There's no project without utilities, so I just want to put any of those reservations at ease. Same thing with the fire and service departments in negotiations with the City of Phoenix to make sure that these residents are taken care of. And lastly, I wanted to address that we do have a traffic impact statement done. We're in the process of submitting our pre-plat through the county, and with that, we do have a traffic impact statement. The highlighted portion there says, with our improvements, our realignment of Euclid, there will be no impact to the level of service. It's a B now and expected to be a B later. So with that point, I just wanted to reiterate that this is an infill development. This is a 22-acre site, taking into account our lots to the north, our lots to the south, and really taking advantage of the growth and development that's happened in this area and putting a product that matches with what's around it. There has been enormous, tremendous growth. The 202 has really opened this area for that growth and expansion. It's needed in this part of the community. And with that, we would greatly appreciate your support. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right. Thank you so much. Supervisor Gallardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know we had discussions, or at least with Chris. Chris has been working on this very hard. Thank you, Chris. And there's been some discussions in regards to a couple of stipulations, 4 in particular. It sounded like they encompass a couple of our stipulations already. So where are we at in terms of the 4 that have been recommended? Or we were thinking of throwing out on the table just for discussion-wise, but where are we at on those 4? I know, like, the buffers there.
Well, Chairman Gates, Supervisor Grotto, members of the board, I think that after hearing some of the comments, obviously the 2-story homes are an issue from a privacy standpoint. That's not incorporated right now, is limiting 2-story homes around the perimeter. So that's a possible suggestion for the board to consider adding in. The current zoning case does not have the amount of open space quantified. So we did discuss the buffers, but overall open space in the development, I think quantifying an amount for say like 20%, I think would be helpful so that it doesn't just look like a dense conglomeration of homes, that it has more open space to fit in with the surrounding area. So I think those are 2 very good things to consider. Regarding the open space buffer that Mr. Hertel had mentioned concerns with, I'd like to perhaps ask the applicant to come back up or comment on if there's a potential solution to that. the concerns about graffiti, or if there's a way that that could be addressed. Because from a planning perspective, we think a buffer is a good way to minimize impacts to the larger lot neighborhoods.
And that's, it kind of threw me back when he indicated, well, we absolutely don't want a buffer. Do not want a buffer. I think having a buffer makes the most sense, but.
Chairman, Supervisor Gallardo, Ms. Prikorsky, thank you for an opportunity to comment on that. This will be an HOA-maintained community, so any graffiti, any trash, anything like that's all taken care of. The HOA maintains that. The buffer is partly retention, so there was a component of retention as well, but also to provide that privacy to the neighbors. But any of the walking trails, any of those amenities are all HOA maintained, so it's not that it will go in and ever into a condition of disrepair.
So, Mr. Chairman, these are always tough ones, and usually I'm in the position of watching you all having to make these tough decisions, and I get to sit here and eat popcorn and watch. But these are always tough. I mean, when you have a community that is different concerns across the board. I am very familiar with the Levine area. I don't live out there, but I'm out there all the time. I coach a Little League team out there. My little brother from the Big Brother Big Sister program is just like a rock throw from this area. He's with his foster family. So I'm very familiar with it. I'm out there all the time. Chris, my chief, she resides out there as well. We always are talking about the changes that are coming through Levine, and I hear what they're saying. Both have been out there for 20 years, but Levine has really changed. It really has, and I talked to many of the residents out there in Levine, in what they desire in terms of commercial items, and with the whole the 202 coming in and traffic concerns. I know we're working with ADOT on a lot of that stuff as well. But I think at the end of the day, Levine has changed, and I appreciate their comments and concerns. I've noted them in my mind, and I understand them. But I really do see that Levine in a change. I really do, and I think this area may be a project that this board should consider. One of the number one calls we get in my office is housing. Number one. People are being priced out of the market. They're not even able to afford a rented apartment in other parts of the city. I mean, finding homes is very difficult. So when you have an opportunity like a project like this and be able to provide housing for young professionals, getting their first start in life, and they're starting a new family, these are opportunities that don't come along very much. And when I deal with some of our developer friends, that's one of the questions is, let's talk about affordable housing. I think it's something Phoenix needs to deal with more. I know they've had great discussions on the Phoenix level, but I do think this is a project to move forward with. I've heard both sides. There are some stipulations that we had talked about. It looks like 2 of them have already been taken care of, but I'd like to read a couple of the stipulations in record as we move forward for consideration. One of the stipulations, unless you think do we need to add stipulations on the buffer when looks like they've already gone in that direction?
Chairman Gates, Supervisor Gallardo, members of the board, the site plan does show the buffers. They're not codified in the zoning case. So if it's important to include and obviously make sure it's maintained by the HOA, we should read them into the case. But so it can be considered for the vote.
I hear you. Okay. Then, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read at least have 4 stipulations on this project. The first one dealing with the buffer on the north. The developer shall provide an 80-foot open space buffer that includes a trail on the northern perimeter of the property that will be maintained by the HOA. And then the developer, on the southern end, the developer shall provide an open space buffer that includes a trail on the southern perimeter of the property. Again, consideration of any type of graffiti on the walls at the HOA, as any other community they normally take care of. The third stipulation is half the lots along the northern perimeter of the property shall be limited to single-story homes and no more than two-story homes built adjacent to each other. That would be my third stipulation. And then fourth stipulation would be the developer shall provide a minimum of 20% open space. Like I said, Mr. Chairman, these are always tough cases to deal with. But I think the applicant has done their due diligence and really have worked their best to get the word out. And I would make a motion that we move forward with PZ5 with the 4 stipulations that I've read in the record.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Excellent. All right. Thank you for the motion, Supervisor Gallardo, and the second from Supervisor Sellers. And Supervisor Gallardo, you should be congratulated, and Chris, for the hard work. Again, we all know how difficult these cases are. You have neighbors who are grappling with, how this area grows and doing it in the right way. And I just want to congratulate you on your work on this case. With the motion and second, do we have any comments? Any other comments? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right. That motion passes unanimously. Again, thanks to everyone who joined us for this item today. Next, under statutory hearings for clerk of the board, we have liquor license applications A through G. These are special event licenses for the Gilbert Promotional Corporation, Anthem Rotary Foundation, Theater West, Creighton Community Foundation, Southwest Wildlife Conservation Center, and Arizona Youth Baseball. H is the permanent extension of premises patio for Shiprock at Saguaro Lake. Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker slips on these items?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Then the board will consider items 5A through H. Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Under Clerk of the Board, we have 6 public service franchise new singular wireless PCS LLC, and under Transportation, we have 7 road file number A658, and 8 is a patent easement abandonment road file number PAB0099. Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker slips on these items?
None, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the board will now consider items 6 through 8.
Move to approve items 6 through 8, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Do we have a second? Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Under County Officers, we have Clerk of the Board, number 9, appointment of a Board of Trustees for Southland Unit 1 and 2, and IWDD number 11. Under the County Attorney, as was mentioned earlier, number 10 has been withdrawn. So we then have 11, which is a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance. The board will now consider items 9 and 11, and again, per the request of the department, item 10 is being moved to the October 23rd, 2019 meeting. Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion passes unanimously. Next, under the sheriff, we have 12, which is an exemption from county markings and issuance of non-governmental license plates. 13 is competition impracticable with Bell Helicopter and approval of trade-in or sale. 14 through 18 are agreements with the Arizona Department of Homeland Security. 19 is funding from the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And then under the treasurer, we have 20, which is tax abatements. The board will now consider items 12 through 20.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 12 through 20.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers.
Can I have a quick question?
Please.
For our staff? Item number 13 on the approval of the trade-in or sale of the helicopter. So would we find out, it says that we are going to get $800,000 or if another lucrative offer comes up. Would we eventually find out if a more lucrative offer comes up? Will we find out what that number would be during a time? Kevin, is that a question for you?
Kevin, you're up.
It's a pretty large sale, so I just kind of like to keep track of that.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor, yes, we would ultimately get that number. But it's determined whether it'll be a trade-in or whether it'll be an auction or something else.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Under the treasurer, we also have offers on tax deeded land parcel near 19th Avenue and West Peoria Avenue. So the board will now consider item 21.
Mr. Chairman, on this particular item, we simply need to ask if there are any additional bids in the audience. None? And I believe there is a recommendation, well, there are 3 offers. The first is for $10, the second is for $150, and the third is for $200. So the maker of the motion would need to specify which offer they are accepting.
This item is in District 3, but I asked one of my colleagues if you would to make the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we accept offer number 3, which is the highest priced offer of $200 from the city of Phoenix.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second? Second. Ooh, okay, I'm going to give that one to Supervisor Sellers. It was close. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to the city of Phoenix. Under county offices and departments, we have air quality. 22 is to amend an agreement with the Arizona Propane Gas Association. 23, amend the license agreement with the Arizona Center for Nature Conservation. And 24 is an agreement with the Maricopa Association of Governments for the Travel Reduction Program. Under animal care and control, we have 25 through 31, donations. 32, amend the IGA with the City of Scottsdale for animal control services. 33 through 35 are kennel permits. The board will now consider items 22 through 35. Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. And I just wanted to briefly mention on 22, which is the agreement with the Arizona Propane Gas Association. We are grateful to that association for their support of this program. This is helping people to get into propane fireplaces, which is important as we continue to work air quality. We have Phil McNeely with us today. Thank you to everyone in air quality for their hard work to make sure that the air that we breathe here in Maricopa County is clean. So with that, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Continuing under animal care and control, we have 36, Jody A. Cazzo Irrevocable Trust, second distribution. 37, administrative correction. 38, under environmental services, the Board of Health fee waiver reimbursement, equipment services. 39, transfer of vehicle. Under finance, we have 40, which is fund transfers and warrants. And under human resources, we have 41, which is market ranges. The board will now consider items 36 through 41.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 36 through 41.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Under Human Services, 42 through 46, we have IGAs with City of El Mirage, Town of Wickenburg, Youngtown, Guadalupe, and Gila Bend. 47 through 49, amend IGA and agreements with City of Buckeye, Arizona Department of Housing, and Wildfire. 50 is the termination of agreement with Rebuilding Together Valley of the Sun. Board will now consider items 42 through 50.
Move to approve items 42 through 50, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Next, that motion passes. Under Public Health, we have 51 and 52. Those are grant funds and notice of award from Health Resources and Services Administration. 53 through 54 are IGAs with the Arizona Department of Health Services. 55 is a contract with LexisNexis company Vital Check Network, Inc. 56 is amending an agreement with our friends at St. Mary's Food Bank Alliance. 57 is a purchase order for IGA with the Arizona Department of Health Services. 58 is to amend a contract with Southwest Human Development. 59, grant funds from the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy. And 60 is appropriation adjustment. Board will now consider items 51 through 60.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 51 through 60.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? All right, that motion passes unanimously. Continuing under Public Health, we have 61 through 62, which is amend agreement with Greater Phoenix Urban League, Inc. and the University Central Center. As was mentioned earlier, we will be continuing item 63, HF1D Phoenix 1706 LLC. 64 is to rescind and approve an action with Arizona Early Childhood Development and Health Board and First Things First. And then under real estate, we have 65, which is a revocable non-exclusive license agreement with the United Food Bank. Board will now consider items 61 through 65, leaving out 63.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Steve.
I heard a second from Mr. Chukri. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Under transportation, we have 66, which is change in traffic control, 67, new traffic control, 68, Institute of Automated Mobility Board membership. 69 is a resolution altering road declare, and this is for road file number 5024 and 5024R. 70 easement right-of-way and relocation assistance documents. Under the Board of Supervisors, we have 71, which is a resignation from the Travel Reduction Program Regional Task Force, and 72 is a resignation from the Air Pollution Hearing Board. The board will now consider items 66 through 72.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 66 through 72.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Under setting of hearings, we have planning and development. We have 73, which is planning and zoning cases. Under transportation, we have 74 and 75, which are patent easement abandonments for road file number PAB-0104 and road file number PAB-0095. Board will now consider items 73 through 75.
Move for approval items 73 through 75, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Now we move on to the consent agenda. 76, civil penalty appeals. 77, duplicate warrants. 78 through 86, cancellation of elections and appointments to various special taxing districts. 87 through 88, donations. 89, minutes. 90, precinct committeemen. 91, secured and unsecured tax roll corrections. 92, settlement, resolution of property tax cases and claims. 93, stale dated warrants. 94, tax abatements. And 95 is treasurer's collections and investment summary for August of 2019. The board will now consider items 76 through 95. Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we're going to move on to the addendum. We have under risk management, A1, which is settlement in the Allison Hardesty case. And then under enterprise technology, we have A2, which is an agreement with the Sun City West Posse LLC.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take item A2 separately.
Okay, great. Then do we have a motion in favor of A1?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of item A1.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right. Motion passes unanimously. So next we'll go to A2, and Supervisor Hickman, we do have a speaker slip here from Myron Feingold.
Yeah, I'd like to just talk a little bit about Myron and his group that's here, Rich and Jim. Thank you guys for being here too. 6 months ago or so, I had a meeting with the Sun City West Posse, a different day. I think it was at your all-call kind of event where the posse members were there, and a situation was brought up to my attention about the radios and the use thereof. And the posse reminded me that they own those radios. And those radios are specifically there to protect not only the public in Sun City West, but also the posse members in general as they go out and are out there in the community, sometimes in the darkness, sometimes at 2 in the morning. And I came back and we started to work a little bit on it. Those radios are extremely important, and being able to have conversations and communication is extremely important. The posse members and the Pride members, two very large organizations of volunteers that not only protect the public out there in far-flung areas, but also keep that community beautiful, have significant financial impacts to the county taxpayer. These people are out there voluntarily helping McDOT keep the community beautiful and helping the Sheriff's Department to keep the public safe out there. I thought it would be, we've heard things about welfare checks and just how important they are. Family members from the East Coast in the summertime calling and finding out if their mothers, fathers, or grandfathers are okay because they're not answering the phone. The posse takes care of that for us in the community. So rarely do I get a chance and an opportunity to talk about these people. And rather than me expounding on the virtues of these people and these volunteers to our board, I was hoping to invite Myron Feingold down and talk about what they do out there, because I think it is misunderstood. So if you wouldn't mind, before we take a vote, Myron's gonna hobble up here because he just had hip surgery.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Feingold, and thanks to you and your colleagues for the great work you do out in Sun City West. It's near and dear to my heart because my dad, my stepmom, my aunt and uncle all live in Sun City West. So on behalf of the Gates family, thank you very much for what you do as well.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for having us. Again, my name is Myron Feingold, and I'm the commander of the Sun City West Posse for 2019. There will be election at the end of this year. I'm just going to give you some history. The Sun City West Posse helps to keep our community safe, the community of Sun City West. We have over 17,000 roofs and roughly 30,000 people. The question becomes, how do we do that? And we do that by having approximately 90 trained members patrolling the streets 3 times a day, 70 members helping as receptionists, data entry, data processing, computer technology, computer training, vehicle maintenance, and photography, just to name a few. All of the posse members are volunteers. The posse program does not have a payroll. I really have to hit that home. when the Sun City West Recreational Board had a new general manager come in, he sat down with me and he said, "So what's your payroll?" And I said to him, "0." And he said to me, "How can that be?" And I said, Sun City West is a community based on volunteers, and everybody in this building volunteers. So as the commander this year, I will tell you, I'm going to log about 2,200 hours of volunteer time because I believe in what we do. All of the posse members live in Sun City West, and we have a strong desire to give back to our community. To put this another way, the members have a vested interest in the safety of our community. The tell is that Sun City West has a property crime rate of 10.23 per 1,000 residents, as compared to Arizona's of 29.15 per 1,000. It is our opinion that the posse program is the deterrent by having our cars on the street 3 shifts a day, driving up and down. The sheriff's office is not staffed to do that, and even if they were, I don't think any police agency does that anymore today. When we drive by and we do this to the residents, they love it. So we are an integral part of the community. Here are some interesting facts about the posse. We patrol the streets, as I just said, 365 days a year using posse-purchased vehicles. This includes 3 shifts a day from 5 a.m. till midnight. Each shift can have up to 4 patrol cars on the street, 1 dispatcher communicating with all the cars, the radios, and that's the important piece here. And just for clarity, a call is made to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office when deputies are needed. The posse is not law enforcement. We have a crystal clear understanding that we are not law enforcement. We do not want to be law enforcement, and we reach out to the sheriff's office when that situation arises. And just for the record, we have an excellent working relationship with District 3 of the sheriff's office. Some of the services offered by the posse include a vacation watch program. In a typical year, the posse watches about 3,500 homes in Sun City West. What that means is initially we'll go out and make sure that the homeowner lock the doors, close the windows, and yes, people don't do that. And we, on a periodic basis, go out and check the house, along with our patrolling on a daily basis. We also have a WAY program, which is Where Are You? And this is for tracking residents who wander. We work with the community, so if mom or dad get out of the house, we have a protocol to go get them. We also have a program, Are You Okay? And this is a welfare check on individuals. A call is made to the individual on a certain day and time. If they don't answer, we react to make sure everything is okay. And this is done in coordination with the sheriff's office. We also have block watch programs and educational sessions. And we assist the sheriff's office when asked with 911 calls, directing traffic at accidents, and search and rescue and other events. As I said in the beginning, we work very closely with the sheriff's office. We're not law enforcement. We have a dedicated line that comes from District 3 into our dispatch center. And they have not been shy in asking us for help because they are short on deputies. Here are some statistics for an average year at the posse. The volunteers at the posse volunteer over 75,000 hours of service to the community, and that's roughly the equivalent of 42 people working full-time. We patrol about 250,000 miles, covering every street in Sun City West, usually 3 times a day, using posse-purchased vehicles, gasoline, and insurance. And it is this activity that is the great deterrent to crime. Financial support, here comes the shocker. It has been calculated that the posse routinely saves Maricopa County in excess of $3.8 million a year doing what we do. And that is using the labor component, the vehicles, the gas. If we were a business, that's how much money we would need to keep our doors open. The posse does not receive any financial assistance from the county, the state, federal government, or the Sun City West recreational centers. All of our funding comes from the residents in Sun City West. And the reason the residents make their donations is because they know we are out there 365 days a week. When the sheriff's office closed the posse program on January 25th, there was an uproar in Sun City West where a community session was actually held where Sheriff Brenzone had to come out and talk to the residents, which I think was a good thing. At least the sheriff had an understanding as to what the posse did. He was new on the job and knew that the residents of Sun City West really did care. So again, the Sun City West Posse is funded solely by donations from the community. The funds are used to keep the operations running, including the building, utilities, vehicles, fuel, and repairs. And that's a summary of what the posse does. Our goal primarily is to serve the residents of Sun City West. I think we do that very well. A byproduct is that we save Maricopa County approximately $3.8 million a year. And this item talks about giving us the ability to use the radios between our patrol cars on our dispatch centers to keep our members safe when they're out on the street. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Feingold, and thanks for coming today to give us an explanation of the incredible value and services you provide to Sun City West and really all of us in Maricopa County by extension. And I want to congratulate and thank Supervisor Hickman for his leadership on this, bringing this issue to the attention of the board so that we can do a very small thing. I know it's a small thing compared to what you guys do for us, but to do this small but important thing for you.
Yeah, and
Supervisor Hickman.
And I think just by those statistics alone that Myron read off doesn't even talk about the passion that the posse members have for their neighbors and their friends and neighbors out there. So we're just talking about the money value, but the support value is just incredible. It is great to drive into a community to see these volunteers doing jobs that quite possibly the county would have had to bankroll. That is a reason why when I talk to you guys about the posse, how I'm so passionate about it and about protecting them and letting them do the volunteer work that they do so well. So with that being said, and before I move this on, this item is on the addendum in the agenda because we wanted to make sure everything was right, making sure that this is a living document that will go forward for a long time to come and also serve as a model to maybe the other posses that are out there that would also like to use their radios and the band system. Mr. Winfield, thank you for charging into this. It took one phone call from my chief of staff, and thanks for putting the attention that this deserves. Reed, thank you, and Joy for hearing this, because it just seems some of these items sometimes are just might be minuscule or treated in a fashion that, well, so many governs, well, we'll get to that, but you jumped right on it. So thank you very much from the OET department.
And thank you from the sheriff, the Sun City West Posse.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that being said, and last thing before I move this on, if anyone wants to Google what a hero is about, we were hoping that this would get on the September 11th. Mr. Feingold was in the World Trade Center on September 11th, and he's a humble guy. He's not going to talk about it. So go ahead and read that story about what he did that day and what he did in that capacity. Thank you for serving.
Yes, if you go Google me, you'll learn all about me, all about me.
Great for a story to tell your kids about.
Yes,
who you
absolutely.
get to work with.
And as a side note, if you want to talk to me on the side, I'd be glad to talk to you about it.
Perfect. Mr. Chairman, I move approval of item A2.
All right, thank you for that motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I will second that motion with a quick comment, and just so you all know what an advocate you have on the board. I think it was right after decisions were made by the sheriff's office that I remember you had called me on a Saturday. I remember I had to pull into a school parking lot, and you were telling me the issues that were going on in Sun City West and things that you wanted to do here at the board level. So you have a strong advocate here for you.
And one more time, I really appreciate the board, Supervisor Hickman. You have really helped us move this along, which just is a direct link to the Sun City West community. And, speaking for the community, they truly appreciate it. They appreciate us, and Supervisor Hickman knows any chance I get, I give the thanks to the board because they need to know where it's coming from.
Thank you so much, and thank you for those comments. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thanks again, gentlemen, and thank you, Supervisor Hickman. All right, now we're going to recess as the Board of Supervisors, and we will convene as the Flood Control District Board of Directors. We have F1, declare, sell excess parcels. F2 is an agreement with the Union Pacific Railroad Company. F3, amend a contract with Kaufman Specialties, Inc. F4, agreement and plan with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources Conservation Service. F5 is a reappointment to the Flood Control Advisory Board, Floodplain Review Board, and the Board of Hearing Review. F6 is easement right-of-way and relocation assistance documents. The board will now consider items F1 through F6.
Move to approve items F1 through F6, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Now we'll adjourn as the Flood Control District Board of Directors and convene as the Library District Board of Directors. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, could we check if Mr. Chukri is still on the line? I wasn't sure I heard him in that vote.
Mr. Chukri, are you still there? Yeah, I had a note that he was going to be dropping off. So thank you for clarifying that. It's just the four of us now. So under Library District, we have L1 and L2 donations. L3 is amend a grant from Freeport McMoran. L4, amend bequest from the Thelma B. Corfield Survivors Trust. And L5 is an IGA with the City of Surprise. The board will now consider items L1 through L5.
Motion to approve item L1 through L5, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now we're going to adjourn as the Library District Board of Directors and convene as the Stadium District Board of Directors. We have one item, S1 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of item S1.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Hickman. Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Next, we're going to adjourn as the Stadium District Board of Directors and convene as the Maricopa County Housing Authority of Maricopa County. We have one item, H1, which is a purchase contract with Richard A. Fisher. The board will now consider, or the Housing Authority Board will now consider H1.
Move for approval of H1.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for the second, Supervisor Hickman. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Now we will adjourn as the Housing Authority of Maricopa County, and we're going to reconvene as the Board of Supervisors. And this is now the time for item 96, which is for public comment. And we do have several speaker slips here. Again, as a reminder, in the public comment section, we have 2 minutes for folks to comment. And then also under Arizona law, the Board of Supervisors is prohibited from responding, making any comment during public comment. So with that, let's start with Jordan Bader. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. As you guys know, I'm Jordan Bader. I've been here the last 2 meetings. I'm one of the fired volunteers at Maricopa County Animal Care and Control. I wanted to share with you guys a little more about my role as a volunteer at MCACC. I was the only volunteer who worked solely with the seniors, 7 years and older. I worked with networking them, getting them out of the shelter, and getting them medical care. Did you know right now at West alone, there are more than 30 seniors at the shelter right now? I always had a list of about 10 to 15 to work with, but now that there's 30. I believe me being fired has affected those numbers. I can't network like I did. I can't get information like I did. And I was able to, and I can't spend hours with the seniors like I did. Over one conversation and a private message, Mary Martin has taken away this much from the dogs. They have continued to put in roadblocks by even going to the shelter as a public member. Mary had a staff member come up to me and take a picture of the meet and greet paperwork to make sure I was following protocol. They have also set rules for volunteers to make it harder for them to show dogs. 2 women in management said, we don't want the fired volunteers networking the dogs. Who wouldn't want dogs networked? Who wouldn't want the dogs to get out of their kennels for 15 minutes a day to get a break from being confined in a kennel 24/7? Mary is who? She would rather let dogs suffer than put aside her ego and give these dogs a better chance of getting out. I urge you guys to review my page on Facebook and see what I have done for the county and what Mary Martin has taken away from the dogs. My page is Senior Citizens of MCACC, so I would encourage you to all look it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Next is Kathleen Bow.
Hi, I'm back.
Hi, thanks for joining us.
I am Kathleen Bow, and I was a volunteer for 1.5 years. I'm also Lorena Bader's mom and Jordan Bader's grandmother. We all know why we started speaking to your group with the firing of the 3 volunteers that are dedicated for bringing the excessive heat issue to the forefront. You've chosen to do nothing about the matter, so I want to provide you with some observations I made while working there that to me warrant an in-depth audit. We have poor employee and volunteer morale. We have a volunteer program in shambles, unprofessionalism by the director, the shelter manager, and the PIO, cash donations not being properly collected, recorded, and deposited, donations of food and treats being taken from the facility by the director, continual understaffing in kennels, adoptions, clinic, and the business office. A 501c3 set up with Mary Martin and Ben Swan running it. Alienation of those in the rescue community, transporting highly adoptable dogs to other shelters, including California, where they euthanize thousands of dogs, and partnering with pet stores that sell puppies from questionable breeders in the Midwest. I think if you truly listen to those voicing concerns, you would realize that all is not right. A high save rate doesn't tell you how the animals are cared for during their stay, how employees and volunteers are treated, how poorly the cash flow is managed, or how lazy and incompetent upper management is, and how unprofessionally they treat those under them. The 3 volunteers continue to work under these conditions.
All right, you're coming to an end here. A couple more seconds.
The 3 volunteers, can I finish a sentence?
Sure.
Okay. The 3 volunteers continue to work under these conditions because of their love and concern for the animals. They and we as taxpayers deserve better. I feel we should demand some real answers and action. Let's do an audit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Erica Edmark.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the 3rd meeting that I, along with many others, have attended to speak about the fired MCACC volunteers. I find it is becoming increasingly difficult to come up with things to say that might resonate with the board, anything that might elicit a response to our request to be reinstated. Unspun accounts of the original situation hasn't worked, as our emails have gone unanswered. Appealing to any possible empathy that you might have for the outrageous number of homeless animals in Maricopa County hasn't worked either, evidenced by the fact that my email to Chairman Gates about senior dogs remains unresponded to. Logic, pointing out fiscal savings and demonstrating how your county employees have repeatedly failed to perform their jobs while stomping on the First Amendment rights of your constituents hasn't worked either. But I will continue to be here until this wrong is righted. Supervisor Hickman, I have read quite a few articles about your company, Hickman Farms, and the programs you have set up to employ both current and former inmates. The word chance is used a lot in the speech describing and praising the programs. Since these programs are geared mostly towards those who are or have been in jail, I think it would be safe to say that these are likely second, third, or fourth chances that they are being given. My question to you is, even if you truly believe that we did something wrong in our efforts to keep the shelter dogs safe, why are we not being afforded the same second chance that convicted felons are being afforded? Now, I'm not so naive to believe that your company's program is completely about second chances and reducing recidivism. I realize there are financial benefits in the form of low labor costs and tax breaks for Hickman Farms, as well as offsetting the cost of the inmates' incarcerations as savings for the state. However, that leads me to my second question. Why would you turn down willing and unpaid labor from 4 members of the public in an area that is already incredibly underfunded and understaffed, especially when the previous fired volunteers have been given second chances? What is the real reason? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lorena Bader. Good morning.
Hi. I'm Lorena Bader, and I was one of the fired volunteers. I've been in New Jersey for the past 3 months and was not involved in taking temperatures, sharing temperatures, or denigrating an employee on social media. I retired after 26 years teaching teenagers chemistry and physics, and I managed to make it through that without being written up, reprimanded, or terminated. When Mary Martin first came to Maricopa County, she took me into her confidence and gave me a significant amount of responsibility. We talked frequently, and she would rely on me to give her information about what was happening at the shelter when she was not there. I was so excited to have found something I was passionate about and to be able to be involved in important decisions that affected the animals. I have volunteered for 3 years, over 4,200 hours, and typically worked 50 hours a week helping out in adoptions, alternative placement, and behavior. I was treated more like an employee than a volunteer. Mary Martin repeatedly offered to hire me, but I did not want a job. Arizona Animal Rescue Mission did eventually agree to pay me to be the animal welfare advocate. I did what I loved, had flexibility, and it worked out wonderfully until ARM parted ways with Maricopa County. Immediately after they left, Mary Martin again offered to create a position for me. So, if I am such an asset to the shelter and the animals, what went wrong? I know the exact date when everything changed. January 19th, 2019. Mary Martin found out that I had shared my concerns with another volunteer about a $300,000 grant for enrichment. Over a year and a half later, and Wes still did not have the 4 behavior positions filled, and they were not doing daily playgroups or in-kennel enrichment. Mary Martin incorrectly believed that I was accusing her of misappropriation of funds. I wasn't, however, the repercussions were immediate. Next time I speak, I will provide you with clear examples of a hostile work environment where retaliation, vindictiveness, and unprofessionalism are the norms. You truly should be asking if the reason I was fired was really about the temperature debacle, or if it had to do with issues that go well beyond that. I am confident that the truth will come out in time. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Nichols?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My first concern is what is the Board of Supervisors doing to remedy the situation with the volunteer termination over at the shelter. Based on the inaction seen thus far, I'm not sure if this situation has been taken seriously. Besides all of the people here that are supporting Lorena, Erica, and Jordan, there are many supporters in the public that are bothered by the silence and inaction of Maricopa County Animal Care and Control and the Board of Supervisors. These 3 women serve the community for years, and it's as if their contributions have been unnoticed and unappreciated by the organization that benefited the most from their dedication and hard work. It is time Maricopa County Animal Care and Control Management put their egos aside and allow these 3 seasoned volunteers to return. It baffles me that after all of this time, Maricopa County Animal Care and Control has not had the decency to give them a reason for their termination. It leads me to believe that there truly was not a legitimate reason. Volunteering and working at the shelter is both rewarding and emotionally taxing. I'm an active volunteer there. Staff and volunteer retention has always been a challenge. Erica, Lorena, and Jordan want to help Maricopa County Animal Care and Control. Having these ladies return to me is a no-brainer. They have years of experience volunteering for the shelter and are familiar with our homeless pet population and those that adopt these animals. There is no training involved. These women are leaders at the shelter and have always been counted on by staff and other volunteers to assist anyone who needs it. Lorena assisted the behavior team and management team approximately 5 days a week, 8 hours per day. That's a full-time employee working for free. Erica and Jordan would come on their days off, work full shifts, and work with staff and other volunteers to create a more pleasant environment for the animals.
If you can wrap up, your time has expired.
Okay. The inaction from Maricopa County, coupled with the continued short staffing and low volunteer turnout at the shelter on a daily basis, has contributed to at least 2 known instances where dogs died in their kennels alone in the past couple weeks. Is this something that we really want on the news? Is this something that we want in our shelter? In addition, potential adopters can wait more than an hour. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Shannon Dugley.
Good morning, board members. I actually am dressed for work. I work for Arizona Transplants, and we do transplants for the community. And I actually adopted a dog named Doogly. And I work with sick and dying people every day. And I can't do what these ladies do. I can't go in there and see these animals. It's emotionally taxing to see how many animals were in there. And these women, Jordan, and Lorena, which were featured in the paper, and so is my dog, Doogly, which is now Winston. He is 9 years old. He was 8.5 last year in December, and he had limited time available. And I saw on Facebook the networking available, and I came down from Banner University Transplant Center, and I picked him up, and I had him stay at my house as a foster, and I eventually adopted him. He had allergies. They wouldn't adopt him out, and I don't know how many people passed up on him because they thought that he had cancer or something else. His feet were the size of meatballs from, Uncle Sal's. I can't even imagine what these animals that are left and in the time being that they are not being serviced. And to sit and wait, these animals are dying, and I can't do this. I can't be that person to be in there with them. I'm helping the community in other ways. Why wouldn't you let these people that are volunteering their time? Because honest to God, nobody's lining up to do their job with their experience. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. Our last speaker is Haley Hannigan. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm in a little bit better of a mindset than I was last time. So I wanted to kind of talk about the differences with county shelters just in the state of Arizona. I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to go down to Pima Animal Care. I toured their facility. I spoke with their volunteer coordinator. I was there for 3.5 hours. 2 of those hours I spent talking to the volunteer coordinator. I talked to no less than 10 or no more than 10, no less than 10 volunteers just about their program. There were 10 volunteers on site on a Saturday at Pima. There were 2 last Saturday at Maricopa Animal Care and Control. So I only talked to 10, there were many more, but I wanted to show you guys this. This is something that really struck me. This is the kennel card of Maricopa Animal Care and Control. This is what the public sees when they are interested in a dog. This is done through a program called Chameleon when a dog comes into the shelter. It says the breed, the age, the intake date. This is from Pima Animal Care. This is the same program. This is done through Chameleon. So when you're looking at a county shelter and the availability to get dogs out and the curb appeal, if you will, on something so simple as a sheet of paper, this is a smaller shelter with less funding. This is Maricopa Animal Care and Control. It is a stark difference on just the sheet of paper that you're presenting to the public. So I would like to pass these down for you guys to take a look at. It's just something, the volunteers being fired is one thing, but the fact that staff is making, administration is making hundreds of thousands of dollars between the top 5 administrators there, and they can't do a simple switch to their paperwork to make dogs more appealing to the public. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was that on your agenda, you had donations in excess of $1,000 that included evaporative coolers and cooling vests. Those totaled $2,500. You got those donations and accepted those donations because of Jordan Bader, and you accepted those today. So just wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone coming to provide public comment today. This is the time when we allow the members of the Board of Supervisors to provide any updates on what's going on in their districts. We've got Reed Spalding with us today. Again, Reed, thanks for filling in for Joy. Do you have any comments today? All right. Supervisor Sellers.
Yes. On September 21st, I joined Mayor Daniels and the Gilbert Town Council to open their new regional park, another jewel in the town of Gilbert. I spent the morning of September 25th in Queen Creek. First, I was a guest at the Queen Creek Chamber of Commerce, and then I attended a groundbreaking ceremony for their newest Queen Creek Fire Station. At the East Valley Partnership Board meeting, that became particularly fun for me because I got to listen to Supervisor Chukri and Sheriff Paul Penzone give an update on Maricopa County. So that was, and it was good to see the interaction from our community with them there. Very, very well accepted. I was excited to join Governor Ducey for the press conference announcing planned improvements to I-17 from Anthem to Sunset Point. And this last Saturday, I attended our state annual Sister Cities Conference in Scottsdale, and then helped to MC awards for engineering excellence at the American Council of Engineering Companies annual awards dinner.
All right. Thank you very much. Supervisor Gallardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things. Last Friday, we had our domestic violence. I see Mr. Hickman with his purple, and I noticed you had your tie on, but not today.
Oh, yeah.
I think
You have purple in there.
It was one of the meetings. I can't
Yes.
remember. I just remember you wearing your tie, so my similar tie.
There you go.
Oh, no one can hear me. That's the whole point. I don't want anyone to know what I'm saying. But nonetheless, we had our domestic violence coffee up on the second level. Donuts were provided by Fry's Foods, which we were very grateful, and we're going to hit them up again for more donuts. But our next one is on the 19th, where we're going to be up on the second level. As employees come in, they can grab themselves a cup of coffee and a donut and talk to some of the domestic violence providers there. We had the Coalition to End Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence with us this last Friday, and on the 19th we will have. I want to make sure it's the 19th. I'm assuming it's the 19th. Chris is yelling at me. Oh, I knew it. The 18th. The 18th, Chris would have yelled at me. The 18th is we're going to have our coffee. We're going to have Chicanos por la Casa and their Decalotus program. Their domestic violence advocates are going to be there. And then on the 24th, as we know, is the Domestic Violence Wear Purple Day. It's a national awareness day that we ask everyone to wear purple. But we're looking forward to continuing to talk to employees and getting the word out and being able to provide information to our employees.
Thank you, and thank you for that update, and thanks for your continued leadership on the issue of domestic violence awareness. Supervisor Hickman.
I just wanted to mention a meeting I had yesterday that I could talk about the county to all the West Valley mayors, and two of the subjects I brought up to them was the upcoming, we hope, opening on time of the new jail and the ITR system, and what that's going to mean to West Valley communities about having their law enforcement officers be able to come up and drop anybody off apprehended, and we hope that they can make that a very fast transition and get back onto the streets that they are supposed to be patrolling. I also got a chance to talk about our recent appointment of the new county attorney, Alistair Adele, and what that probably will mean to their city prosecutors as well. And what we got to hear is her vision, and to talk about that pick. So outside of that, I know we have a tour of another new building coming up. So I'll keep my things brief today.
Excellent. Thank you. Just a couple things. One, yesterday I participated in a press conference on the Healthy Giving campaign. For those of you who don't recall, this is a campaign that we've partnered with Pastor Jerome and with the city of Phoenix to encourage people who want to help with the homelessness issue to give to those organizations who are participating in that effort, as opposed to giving to folks on our street corners. And we want to thank Clear Channel Outdoor, which is going to be donating time on its 79 billboards around the county to get out this message. And I want to thank Fields and his team for putting together those billboards. So be looking for those throughout the county. And we were joined at that press conference by Mayor Gallego and by my successor on the Phoenix City Council, Deborah Stark. So that was a great event. I'm also looking forward to, I see Jennifer Toth out there, look forward to going and speaking at the McDOT All Hands meeting tomorrow morning, I think. So thank you for that opportunity to support your employees. And then I also see Bruce Liggett out there, and I'll be speaking at the Human Services All Hands meeting on Friday. So thanks for that invitation, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak about all the support that the Board of Supervisors has for your employees and how much we appreciate your great efforts there. So with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.